Due to limited space on paper, we represent bigger distances on ground by small distances on paper. Like a distance of 200 miles on the ground could be represented by just 1 inch of length on paper. This specific ratio of actual distances on the ground to distance on paper is called scale of the map or scale of the diagram. Let's solve this question, which says distance between Thompson, Manitoba and Winnipeg, Manitoba is 550 miles, which is represented by 2 whole 3 by 4 inches on the map. Find scale that was used to draw the map. So here 2 whole 3 by 4 inches. So let's write down on paper, which is scale, and on ground. So when on paper it was 2 whole 3 by 4 inches, on ground distance was 550 miles. So now when on paper we are requiring 1 inch, 1 inch will represent how many miles? We have no idea. Without any conversion of units, we can simply take this data and then do the cross multiplication, because ratio of distances on paper is same as ratio of distances on the ground. So that's why we can perform this cross multiplication, because ratio of distances on paper is same as ratio of actual distances on ground. So if that is the case, whether we do it by ratio or we directly use the cross multiplication, we will have 2 whole 3 by 4 times x equal to 1 times 550. This is when we do the directly cross multiplication. So this can be converted 4 times 2. This can be multiplied with this and then add to this, so that this mixed fraction can be converted into improper fraction. And this improper fraction will become 11 by 4 times x equal to 550. And here x would be equal to 550 times 4 over 11. And this way, if we perform the multiplication and division, we can go 50 times, and then 50 times 4 will be equal to 200 miles, because if you see that x was under actual distances on the ground, which were expressed in miles. That's why x must have a value that is expressed in miles. However, these miles, if you require, you could convert these into inches. So distance on ground represented by 1 inch. 1 inch is equal to 200 miles. And if we like to convert it, then we know that 1 mile is equal to 200 times 63,360 inches. This is conversion scale of miles to inches, and when we multiply both of these 200 and 63, this would give us 12,672,000 inches. So this was the required distance in inches, and if you require your answer in miles, that's given 200 miles. Now let's do the second question. And for second question, what we are given, if the scale of map is 1 to 2,651,000 inches, find the distance on ground if Lake Ontario is 3 inches apart from Lake Winnipeg. So the distance 1 inch on paper is representing is 2,651,000 inches. So let's write this down. Question number 2. On paper, and on ground. On ground, this is okay. On paper, 1 inch is representing 2,651,000 inches. Then 3 inches will represent how many? 3 inches. This is pretty straightforward question because 3 will simply be multiplied. But since ratio of distances on paper is same as ratio of distances on ground. So this cross multiplication thing, or if you do it just like this, 1 over 3 is equal to 2,651,000 over x. This at the end, this also follows the same cross multiplication. So this will be x times 1 is equal to 3 times 2,651,000. And you see that if you were to follow this cross multiplication, this would be the same thing. 1 times x times 1 is equal to 3 times 2,651,000. So that's a shortcut or the easy way. And from here we can get the value for x. That is simply the product of 2,651,000 times 3, and that is 7,953,000 inches. So this is all about scale diagram. Remember, the size on the paper is simple representation of distance on the ground.